the Grey Hat Beard podcast. So, moving on to the next block. Now we're going to talk about how will Cortex make metadata different. And I think, Al, at the end of last section, you were talking a bit about that and all the new tools that are going to come with the metadata and how important that the auto tagging will be for that. But what do you think Cortex is going to, how is that going to make metadata different?
I don't think it's going to make metadata different. I think it's going to interpret metadata differently. I think there will still be, a dependence on the metadata being there and it being accurate.
Yes.
And it will be a more powerful interpretation of that metadata. But you will still have the same challenges that we've always had. I've got a couple of friends in the community who do a stand-up session around metadata. Is it good or bad? And it's been that ongoing conversation. SharePoint came along, great. We've got metadata and content types in 2007, so therefore we don't need any folders. And now we've got OneDrive.
Do you think? Does anyone think metadata's bad, or do they think it's too painful to capture the metadata?
It's too painful to capture it. If I go into a client, I will, and I start talking about metadata. First up, they won't understand what that means. Yeah. When I then say, your folder structure, that is essentially metadata that you are using to tag content. Then they'll go, well, why can't I just carry on using that? Yeah. And then you start to get into the SharePoint storage and go, well, okay, I'm in Teams, I'm in SharePoint, I'm in OneDrive. How am I using metadata across those different products? And then I'm going to use OneDrive Sync and I'm going to have files on my machine. And that's easy. I like that. I'm still using folders. I'm still using that metadata. So
and then you say, go and find me all contracts across these different folders. They go, oh, right, yeah, I have a naming convention. You go, so you do have some. But I don't always do the same naming convention. So I'd find most of them, then go and find the other bit. And then sometimes I'll put it in the same folder. So you do have metadata. You're just using folders and names to do it. There must be a better way. And I think that's where Cortex will come along as helping encourage people to do that better way and making it easier to capture that stuff in a more consistent way.
I hope it will make it easier. I'm not 100% sold on it yet. Because I haven't seen it. And from an end user perspective, that's going to be absolutely crucial. Does this make my life easier?
Yeah. The kind of the side of that I think we're going to see is you're going to get the intelligent kind of extraction of metadata, but we're assuming that's going to be 100% accurate all the time. I don't think that's going to be the case, especially, if you've got a document that's already there and it's computer generated already, it's a printout, it's easy to read. It's going to be the Cortex is going to be able to pick up on handwriting because it's using Azure Cognitive Services. So it's able to pick up handwriting, but then everyone's handwriting is different. If you've been into the doctor recently, try and read their notes. How is that going to work? So I can see being in a scenario of, yes, we've got the intelligent capture, but then you're going to have to check and go, has it picked up the things that you'd expect it to pick up? Has it picked up a completely wrong word? And again, if that gets into your, into your metadata pool, it can bring the quality down. The whole thing starts.
What I've liked and what I've seen from, again, these are screenshots, not live demos, although I did see a few live demos. What I like that Microsoft is doing is they are saying where that metadata is from. So they're saying that this has come from auto tagging, this has been set, and that there's this notion of setting for different knowledge centers a group of experts who can either confirm things or manually set it. So you then get a better idea of, this is, I'm happy with this metadata. Here's some I'm a little unsure about. Here's some that's absolutely random and can be changed. So I think they're looking at it the right way.
The challenge that you'll get is that quality, the validation process that you need to have in place. And eventually,
but I don't think
the number of people who might be in place.
As long as you say to people, this is confirmed by a defined expert as we as an organization define it. These one has been set by AI. These ones have been set by the community. If you go into Google or Bing, obviously, if it's being pushed to you, you don't know what's an expert, and again, same with Wikipedia. You rely on those things to be gradually correct over time. And I think I think what I like about this, and certainly when you look at search and how the discovery works, so the kind of delve experience that's coming into lots of different things, this is why you are seeing things. It feels like Microsoft being very good at using that AI and saying why things are appearing, and that fills me with a bit of confidence.
I do. I like the concept. The concept, I think probably all in agreement that it's a different take on what's been done before. It's an advancement of Office 365 into Microsoft 365 and all the different services. I just get the feeling it's probably been released a little too early. I think that Cortex is going to be around for a while in preview. I think just because there are different pieces that are needed. And I kind of get the feeling, remember SharePoint Spaces? That got announced and it
still going.
Kind of took ages to get there. It's still exactly. It's still there. And I think we're going to hear more of this. It's not that it's done. I think we need to. I'd
rather Microsoft was telling us that this was coming, because I know there's been rumors about they're going to do stuff with knowledge. This feels more substantial. It is being used, just not the full thing yet. So.
But I think so. Microsoft have been very good at giving us tasters of things. Infopedia sites, anybody remember those? They were announced, they were talked about, and then nothing happened with them. I think this is a really complex area.
They announced, or there were lots of rumors and stories about them.
Yeah, they were demonstrated some of them at Ignite a couple of 3 years ago. But I think this is it's a really complex area to get right. And I think what we've talked about, the complexity of capturing that metadata, the validation of the quality of that metadata, and then the presentation in a format that makes it accessible. Those are three things that, as they start to speak to people, they will get an infinite number of views on what is good and what is bad and what is satisfactory for a product that they could actually launch. And I think that will probably prove challenging for them to tie that down to something that has enough capability, enough validation in it to take it out to market for people like us to go, right, well, we know it's early, we know it's in preview, how can we validate this and use this? And once it gets out to that in the wild, they may find that they get so much feedback that they then go, well, actually, there's a lot that we need to do. And I've seen this happen in some of the security side of things, where they go, there's so much feedback that changes some of the fundamental thinking that we really need to rethink it. And I think there is the risk that they could find themselves in that situation on this. But I think
that's why you have to release it, to get that feedback.
Absolutely. If they didn't release it and didn't talk about it and didn't gather the input, then it would be, that it wouldn't serve 90% of people. This way, at least, it will hopefully serve at least 40% of people.
So I think that neatly moves on to how is it going to actually serve people. So I think we'll wrap that section up there and move on to the final topic. Thanks for listening to part 3 of the Grey Hat Beard podcast. Next we move on to what is Cortex actually solving?